Now give it up for the master sucker, the host of the Timesuck podcast. Give it up for Dan Cummins. What do we got? There we go. It's getting fucking weird all the time. I love it. Thank you guys for coming here on a Sunday, especially. I appreciate it. Should be a good time. We'll have Lindsay come out here at the end too. Had a fun weekend here. Got another weird tattoo, a little Illuminati, because I want to fucking. I like to make people wonder what the fuck's going on. Has anybody, before we get into this, has anybody heard of the Anthill Kids before? No? They're not common. They're more like, it's French-Canadian cults. And they didn't make it into a lot of like English kind of written documents, but it's dark. Even for Timesuck, it's a little bit dark. It's gonna be a rough ride, but it has kind of a good ending, which is why I picked it. You'll see what that means later. And this is just in my own head. I left my computer, my batteries down on one of these. This is Lindsay's, and I just want to say this because I would never, ever get this case. I know it matters to no one, but I would feel weird the whole show, be like, they're gonna fucking think that's mine, and I personally would just never get that color palette. What did you say?
It still looks nice.
Oh, thank you very much. I shouldn't worry about it. Well, yeah, let's begin.
This is Michael McDonald, and you're listening to Timesuck.
Now, I told some people over the weekend at the stand-up shows about meeting Michael McDonald, but in case you weren't at one of those shows, it was a pretty ridiculous little meeting. I did a little meet and greet to meet him, went to one of his concerts, and I think, I joke kind of about it, but he actually has had a very, very impressive career, and I did a little meet and greet, and it was such a sad moment, because he was just kind of like, you can tell he's like weirded out by me, but that's fine, whatever, I was probably too amped up to meet him. But then I was like, hey, can you just say this one thing? Can you just say, you're listening to Timesuck? And he goes, time's up? And I was like, no, it's okay. And I swear to God this happened. I go, no, Timesuck. And he goes, oh, like the last 30 years of my career. Michael! I wanted to hug him, but I think he would have had security called. All right, so the Anthill Kids were a group of children raised by actual ants in Australia in the 1960s. Anybody know who that kid is? Exactly, I heard, yeah, the Road Warriors, yeah, it's the feral kid from Mad Max. The Anthill Kids, name of a small Canadian cult. It's a name they gave themselves, and it was a cult that operated out of the French-Canadian wilderness from 1977 to 89, primarily near the Gaspé Peninsula, later Burnt River, Ontario. Basically just BFE, just way out in the fucking woods of Canada. And they follow the teachings of not crazy at all looking cult leader, Rock Terrio. To be fair, after I started making fun of this picture, I was like, there's even crazier looking pictures of myself. Like, I don't know who's sketchier. Ugh. No, we're talking about this guy. Also, this guy does look like, and I'm not trying to put myself down, but like, that's just, like, we could definitely be first cousins. Rock Terrio, he initially gathered his followers through meeting them through some Seventh-day Adventist church meetings. If you'll recall, we had another insane cult leader that we've done a long time ago in the Suck who also kind of came out of a splinter group from the Seventh-day Adventists. Anybody remember which one that was? Yep, I just heard, yep, Waco. Waco? Yeah, exactly, David Koresh. What I like about this picture of David Koresh is this was taken, I believe, in like around 91, 92. And now, or I guess maybe like 10, 15 years ago, like, oh, fucking weird mullet dude. Now he looks kind of awesome. Like, I feel like this guy like lives in Portland, Oregon, and like is like a front man for like a sweet indie rock band, you know? Like they're hoping to get signed by Kill Rock Stars. So let's get our guy back up here. This is Rock in full cult leader mode. He's got his harem of women. It so often goes in that direction, where they got to get the harem going. So that's the weirdo out there in the woods. He was a very especially brutal cult leader. He'd end up killing a few people, maiming others, scaring the shit out of pretty much all of his followers before one of his concubines eventually ran out, and alerted authorities to his presence, and they shut it all down. Rock loved to play doctor, which would have worked out better for his followers if he was a doctor. He had a 7th grade education, which is not great for doctoring. He claimed he didn't need to go to any medical school because he was the reincarnation of the Old Testament prophet of Moses. He would tell his followers stuff like, "Don't take this badly, but you are all at degrees of spiritual development distinctly inferior to mine." Right? Don't you love when they say shit like that? Listen, don't take this the wrong way, but you're fucking dumb and I'm super smart, okay? That's why God likes me better. And he would say that the master speaks directly to him as God did to Moses, and that's why you need to listen to him. That kind of stuff. I'm the last prophet on earth. Me, billions of people on earth to choose from, and they pick the fucking beardo guy up in the Canadian wilderness. So let's start at the beginning, work up to the formation of his cult and its eventual conclusion in today's Timesuck timeline. But first, before we do, I do apologize for this, but we do have some live Suck sponsors, so let's just get one of them out of the way. Timesuck is brought to you today by the A-Hole Airband Show. Longtime supporter of Timesuck, and today's show is brought to you by a special edition. It's the Anton LaVey Satanic Big Top Burlesque Strip Show edition. Cult leaders almost always play an instrument, not just always the skin flute. Rock Dario played guitar. It's great for Armageddon to Here We Come sing-alongs, but learning the guitar takes time. So how about you pick up the air banjo instead? After just 5 one-minute lessons, you can jam like this. And now, before we head into today's timeline, please welcome to the stage Cotton Candy, everybody. Now it's time for today's Timesuck timeline.
Strap on those boots, soldier. We're marching.
I just like to imagine that people just walked in here randomly. This would be the worst show. What are they talking about? What do you say? Oh, this is your first suck? Yeah. Good luck. Oh, his first too? All right. Well, I don't know if this is the topic to bring people in, but we'll find out. Before I get into dates, I just want to say that despite the horrors you're going to hear about these cult members, them enduring, these people for the most part were not insane. I think that's an important thing to keep in mind when you're talking about cults. You leap into these extreme kind of behavior scenarios like, God, who would ever do that? Well, they don't open with these things. Like brutal beatings, that kind of stuff. You don't walk in day one like, hey, I was thinking about joining your cult, and they just fucking punch you in the face. And you're like, oh, okay, I guess that's how it works. No, it's like it takes a while. It takes a while to get there. Rock Thériault, born May 16th, 1947, in Saguenay, Quebec, Canada, way up north of Maine, about 300 miles northeast of Montreal, little industrial city of about 150,000 people. He was born 30 years and a day before I was born. We're almost the same person. I went too far. So Rock is born to a French-Canadian family, which means everybody has super fun to pronounce names. His father is Hyacinthe Thériault. His mother is Pierrette Thériault. Second of 7, also French-named children, born to a working-class Roman Catholic family. Life was comfortable. At least it was, according to everybody but Rock Theriault. He would later claim that his parents were drunks who constantly beat him, saying, "I'm from a family in which I was mistreated and beaten like a dog from 2 to 14 when my father kicked me out and told me to never speak to them again." Now, according to his parents and everybody else, this is complete bullshit nonsense. They say that he lived a very comfortable childhood, loving family, and then stayed in the home until he was 20 years old. And then has the nerve to say that later. That makes me hate this guy even more. I feel like you're a special kind of loser when you stay like bonus years with your family and then bitch about them. Like if Kyler Monroe stay in my house past the age of 18, rule number 1 is tell dad how fucking awesome he is all the time. Right? Let's get them up here. That was that picture. Yeah, it's they're good. But just to have the audacity some people do to complain, it's like, well, you can't tell me what to do. Yeah, I can fucking change the locks though. Just get out of here. Why are you still here? This picture is actually so sad. Kyler Monroe, I mean, she's gotten a little better in like the last month or so, but he's really sweet. I love Monroe to death. She is definitely feistier and more ornery than him. And he, like the day that Monroe came home from the hospital, he jumped and squealed with joy. He was so happy to see his little sister. She has never had that reaction to him. Not even one time ever. This is photographic evidence of Kyler just wanted a hug from his sister. And in order to get that hug, he had to buy her an extra Christmas present. And then she allowed that bullshit hug. Poor guy. So one strange kind of religious aspect of Theriault's upbringing was his father and mother's involvement in the White Berets. I had never heard of the White Berets before. When I heard of them, to me it sounds like a special forces division of like the Ku Klux Klan. Like I picture these guys. Hey, reporting from Mandy, my name's Cooter Jim John Tommy Donald. I'm a second lieutenant in the White Berets. We must keep our bloodline pure so we can be these superior physical specimens. I love you're catching like all like in mid yell. Nothing intelligent is coming out of any of those mouths. None of them are yelling, "You gotta stay in school because education's very important for the future." No, here's a picture of the real White Berets. They're one of their founders. How much would that lady enjoy this show? I'm gonna guess 0%. She doesn't look like a real kind of fun, casual, good time person. This is the White Berets. The Pilgrims of Saint Michael is their actual official name. And this is Gilbert Cotier Mercier. She was like one of their founders. I'm working on my fucking stupid French words. If you put a gun to my head and asked me to say that again, I probably would not get it right. God. But anyway, the White Berets are the Jehovah's Witnesses of the Catholic Church, essentially. No, for real. It's like a small group, and I say that because they bring the teachings of Catholicism door to door with a lot of pamphlets. That's how they proselytize. Jehovah's Witnesses, by the way, when I was just doing the research, I was like, I wonder what they're up to. And I found this picture on their website. I gotta say, they have stepped up their door-to-door game. I mean, I'm just gonna say, if those ladies come to the door, I'm gonna let them in and we're gonna talk. Can I pour you a glass of wine? Jesus liked to drink. I have a hot tub if you'd care to sit and share the teachings of our Lord. When I pulled up a picture of like the door-to-door missionaries, I would get the Mormon missionaries, kind of like these guys. Now, I had a very fun find looking for pictures of Mormon missionaries. I Googled Mormon missionaries on a bike, and in addition to this picture, this also came up. Oh my heck! Gosh dang, you guys, what the flip? there's more positions. Hail Lucifina. I think this actually, this is pretty clever. Some photographer just created a website called MormonMissionaryPositions.com, and it's just these pictures in like a desk, like a table book. Pretty fun. Let's get anti-fun back up there. Let's get good time grandma back up there. Rock's dad went door to door dressed as this white beret. And his mom did too, actually. Both were in this kind of military-esque looking garb, and Rock hated it. He didn't like being drugged around door to door, preaching the word of this, particular little Catholic group. And he found his father very stern and disapproving. I don't doubt that. He claims to have grown up in a very authoritarian household, and that probably would hit him a little different than the other kids, because as a future cult leader, he does not like being told what to do. He wants to be the person telling other people what to do. The White Berets, born out of the Great Depression, in addition to pushing Catholicism, also pushed democratized consumerism, which basically means theocratic socialism. So this message of let's get away from big banks, barter with each other to take care of our needs, and also let's all be Catholic. And at least when Rock was young, they wanted to transform the world into a big religious commune, essentially, where people didn't worry about evil money. Let's all just depend on each other, and of course the church for our livelihood. And I do think that helped form kind of Rock's future visions for his cult. This kind of like bartering, live kind of meagerly type thing, because that's what he would do with his little cult later. 1953, when Rock was 6, the family moves to Thetford Mines, 192 miles due south of Saguenay, also in Quebec. Small industrial city, very sad sounding city, known primarily for asbestos mining and brutally cold winters. So come for the cancer, stay for the tundra. Probably not a lot of tourists heading to Thetford Mines. The spring of 1960, 13-year-old Rock graduates 7th grade, the last grade taught at the local Catholic school he went to. Another picture of Rock. This is not him when he's 13, by the way. There was no childhood. Now, if he would look like that at 13, we're like, well, yeah, of course he's a cult leader. It's destiny. Rather than travel to the nearest high school, Rock, like his siblings, stopped going to school after 7th grade. The Terrio kids either were supposed to get jobs or study at home at that point. He chose to stay at home and study the Bible, and he got real into Revelations, which I feel like is a big red flag. When you're, 12, 13 years old and just really hitting Revelations pretty hard. And actually, a lot of cult leaders have done this thing where they memorize various books of the Bible, and it helps, give them more credence to their followers. He memorized Revelations, also again, weird book to memorize. And he started to believe that Armageddon was coming soon. And so why go to high school? When an angry God's fiery judgment and the end times are right around the corner. Why do people do this? Just convince themselves that God is just, just bringing judgment quick. People like the Westboro Baptist Church, right? Yes, Boo's right. I mean, what a fucking waste of a life. Just to stand out in the cold and just fucking hate. God hates everything. I don't want to say I condone murder, but if these motherfuckers were murdered, I'm not gonna be sad. I'm not gonna be sad about it. So many weird doomsday preachers. I love it when they get specific. I love it when they put a date on it, because what was this guy's life on May 22nd, 2011? He's like, shit. I was standing out in that corner for 2 years. I thought for sure it was the 21st. So, November 11th, 1967, 20-year-old Rock weds quiet, shy, also very religious, 17-year-old Francine Grenier, and moves out of his parents' house. The couple moves to the wonderful French-Canadian city of Montreal. Rock is able to get work as a chimney inspector, very specific-sounding job. In my mind, like a cartoon, it's like a car. I know it's more complicated than this, but I just picture just a guy just looking up, being like, you're fucking good. I'll take my money and leave. 1969, Francine gives birth to the first of their 2 kids, Rock Jr. In 71, gives birth to his second son, Francois. Francois, I do have to say, looked remarkably ant-like, which may have influenced the cult's name later. That's actually what comes up when you Google cute ant baby on. I just love that he's like, fuck. Why Why are they doing this to me? Around 1971, Rock got a job at the Montreal Fire Department, and then he has ulcer surgery in 71, which leaves him with chronic digestive problems and chronic pain. And this influences his future sadistic nature, I think, quite a bit. Because he starts to self-medicate with alcohol, starts to go a bit off the rails, loses his job at the fire department. He and his family move back to Thetford Mines, and just starts to get a little crazy. He starts working on his woodworking skills. He joins, really kind of like not having a steady job, he joins Le Club Hermé. I think that's how you say it. It's basically like a French Shriners, minus the fun hats and the tiny cars. Rock soon begins to alienate fellow members by demanding a tiny hat in his car. He says, "They wouldn't give me a small car, which I understood because of the cost, but why couldn't I have a tiny hat? Hats don't cost much. It only makes sense that a tiny hat would cost less than a regular size hat." So it felt like they were just fucking with me. I mean, you can't argue with that logic, really, but he didn't say that. He did begin to alienate other members with his anti-Catholic rants, still mad at mom and dad. Starts going out to bars, picking up women while his wife's at home caring for the children. Rock begins telling his wife Francine he has to travel to Quebec City to sell some of his woodworks, and he actually was just going there to cheat on his wife with a woman named Giselle, who would be the only recipient of his wood. I don't know. I know it's corny, but it was right there next to each other, and I feel like I half-assed it. I had to say something. Exactly. I couldn't find a picture of the woodworks Rock created. I wanted like little sculptures, like what were they? But when I Googled woodworks, I found this gem of a human. This is a picture of a guy at a mountain man gathering in Virginia City, Montana, just a couple years ago. And I just love, when I see this guy, I just immediately picture his kids being so fucking irritated all the time. Dad, will you please stop dressing like that? You're not American Indian. We got the 23andMe results. You're 0% Cherokee. Fucking stop it. This is Rock. Not many pictures of him. I have to keep going back to this. Rock and Francine, they foreclose in the small home they bought. He's not really making much money. Francine takes the kids, divorces him because he's cheating on her and drinking all the time. His life is in shambles in the mid-70s, and then he does what a lot of other zealots do. He starts telling other people how to live their lives, which the balls on a guy like this, right? Like when your life is in shambles, to then be like, you know what? I'm going to tell other people how to live. He starts doing door-to-door proselytizing for the Seventh-day Adventists now. I picture him just riding his bike, fucking drunk and sweaty, just like, sorry, how's it going? Sorry I don't have the car, my wife took it. She fucking caught me dicking around. Anywho, I want to get your life on track. Rock does devote himself at this time to the Seventh-day Adventist call for clean living. He starts eating only healthy food. He swears off tobacco. Eventually swears off alcohol. He gets put in charge of a church program to help smokers quit smoking. He's starting to do better. He starts giving lectures on healthy living. And then the small sect he becomes a part of they're real heavy on this message of Christ returning soon. The Armageddon. He gets back into that real heavy. And I think it's kind of a weird dual belief system, by the way. To be very into clean, healthy living and also think the world is almost over. That's just not logical to me. Like, if I thought the world was going to end in 3 weeks, vegetables are the last thing I'm giving a fuck about. Like, I'm going to live like this guy. I'm just doing so much blow. He did anyway. I'm definitely not going to spend my last 2 weeks living like this guy. Look how sad he is. That's how I feel every time inside when I look at a vegetable. This guy's happy. That guy's living his best life. So with the help of some women he'd mesmerized during his kind of healthy living lectures, he starts blending womanizing into his theology now. He also starts giving people horrific alternative medical treatments. He starts telling them things like organic grape juice will cure leukemia, which is not true. He builds a reputation as a spiritual healer. He starts recruiting people who will be the first members of the Anthill Kids cult. Let's get Rock back up there, sitting on his throne. All of Rock's initial recruits, he's in his late 20s, approaching 30 at this point, are in their late teens to mid 20s. Almost all of them are women. In the book that became a movie about Rock, Savage Messiah, it's in French if you want to see, I think it's subtitled. The authors wrote, all of these people plus Rock began hanging around at Giselle's apartment. Though most of the girls were still living with their parents, the whole group would often spend the weekend crashing at Giselle's. So he's slowly getting them to spend more time with them, the beginning of the indoctrination. Late 1977, the cult begins in earnest. Rock and his group attend an Adventist retreat where he meets two more young women who join them. The entire group becomes active in those, quit smoking workshops. He convinces now the early members to live with him and Giselle. Right? Don't just spend the weekends, just live with us all the time. He also convinces any of them in college to drop out. Why continue to study when the world is going to end soon? It was at another 77 Adventist retreat where he experiences his first vision. And by vision, I mean the first time he's made shit up. He would claim that while hiking alone, he's always convenient, right? I was totally alone. During the group hike, I didn't see shit. But then when I went off by myself, that's when it all happened. He claims that when he's hiking alone, he suddenly sees white light, just kind of like, take over the sky, almost like a whole bunch of lightning, this, crazy. He hears God's voice telling him that he needs to take his followers and build a retreat to wait for the end of the world on this land. This is where you're supposed to wait for the second coming. So after this vision, he convinces roughly a dozen followers quit their jobs, and they all move out to the woods near Ste. Marie, about 40 miles south of Quebec City, where they rent a 2-story house about 80 miles from the U.S. Maine border. Most of his followers, 21 years old or younger, mostly women, opens what he calls a healthy living clinic associated with Seventh-day Adventists, where they sell like organic foods, distribute Adventist literature focused on clean living, start wearing weird cult clothes, a bunch of tunics, green for the women, beige for whatever reason for the dudes. Rock gets to wear a dark brown tunic because that's God's chosen tunic. Couldn't find any pics of them in their tunics. When I tried to find them, I did find this pic, which I thought was pretty sweet. Sadly, this is not a real cult. When I hear about cults, I want to walk in and see some shit like this. But this is a pretty clever blog post by some hilarious dude named Alan Boardman, who he wrote a satirical description of a fake cult and acted like it's real. He just put it out there on the web. And it says, Primal Void, a Forestville-based cult, is soliciting applicants for membership this month, according to spokesperson Altair. Altair, also known as Bucky Weaver, is the owner of Bucky's Pawn Shop on Broad Street. When not a hypersensitive, arrogant cult leader. He says new followers must be open to ritualistic abuse, coerced confessions, manipulation, and take shorthand. He says, I'm not a god or a deity or even a demigod. I'm just your average run-of-the-mill cult leader who demands obedience and loyalty and is intolerant of criticism. Primal Void's aim is to attract new followers, but mostly women, into their isolated worlds. They will have the opportunity to be personally manipulated, controlled, and enslaved by Altair. I don't know, whoever Alan Boardman, whoever you are, I fucking love you. That was fantastic. Now back to Rock here. Rock's clinic does make a little bit of money initially. They attract some new followers, like Liam Mark Fuchsia, who's the first to sell all of his possessions when he joins the cult. A married couple, Jacques and Maurice, they sell all their belongings to join the cult and fund the clinic. So it seems like their clinic is mostly profitable because its employees are selling all of their shit to fund it. I don't know how much organic food they're selling, but they're getting a lot of commitment from their employees. January 8th, 1978, Giselle, the girlfriend of Rock, who'd been letting all these people crash at her place before the move, the woman Rock left his home for earlier, marries Rock after proposing to him, and they get married in the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Montreal. She was getting really jealous of his interest in the other cult members. March of 78, a man named Eau Claire joins the group along with his wife Geraldine. Now Geraldine had leukemia, was undergoing cancer treatment in Quebec, and Rock, being the great doctor he is, convinces her that the Eau Claire doctors don't know what they're talking about. And he'll just treat her at his healthy living clinic. She doesn't need chemo, she just needs to drink a fuck ton of grape juice. And she does, and she dies. Which is what happens when you try to treat leukemia or any kind of cancer with just grape juice. Anti-vax. Yes, very similar mentality, yes. Rock, and then Rock pulls one of his first weird, cult leader, God moves where she dies in their little, home where they're all living, this communal home, and they have her body in this, in this room separate from everybody else. And then he goes into the room where no one is around, shuts the door, comes back out a few minutes later, and he's like, "Good news, everybody! I brought her back to life. I kissed her on the lips, and she came back to life." And they're like, "Oh my God, that's so great!" And he's like, "But bad news, God told me to make her dead again, so she's no longer with us." And for whatever reason, all these people are like, "Okay." All right, they just keep going. Rock also begins treating another person medically, treating a 19-year-old sufferer of MS, Gabrielle Nadeau. When the branch of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Quebec starts hearing about all of his doctoring, they meet with the parents of his followers and try to persuade Rock to send everyone home and to definitely quit doling out this kind of advice. He does not. April of 78, Rock is kicked out of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And then when I Googled, "sad man gets kicked out of church," this guy came up. No story attached. You can just kind of add whatever story you want to it. I think he really wanted the church to let his metal band take over music on Sundays. And they wouldn't let him do it. But he was like, "What about just hear this out?" He's like, "The ghost under your bed, in your closet, in your head." And they're like, "Uh-uh." He's like, "Meh." That's what I thought of. Yeah. As he's leaving, he's like, "Are you sure?" No? Okay. All right. July of 78, Rock abandons the Healthy Living Clinic. Losing his association with the Adventists killed his business. They're not getting any more referrals. And now he tells his cult he's received a new vision from God. The world is going to end, specifically February 17th, 1979, for sure. There's going to be earthquakes, boulder-sized hail, huge lightning storms. But fear not. If you're with Rock, if you're one of his chosen followers, then you will be protected from all of this nonsense, and you will be part of the first group to lead the new world. Right? Makes sense. July 9th, the group heads out on foot into the wilderness of the Gaspé Peninsula to find this new home. Gaspé Peninsula is super remote, northeast of Maine, north of Nova Scotia, in New Brunswick. They find a small remote hill, erect a tent town, and then start working on a compound. They get some sort of extended camping permit, I guess, because this was kind of like parkland. I can only imagine what the Rangers, thought when they saw these people way out in the woods making this weird Armageddon tent city. How long do you plan to be camping at? Just until the end of the world, that's all. All right, I'll be leaving. He calls it an Eternal Mountain, this new compound. He gives the group new uniforms. He has them working long 17-hour days to build a big cabin, to dig a well. He starts controlling how much food the members get, and how much they're allowed to eat. He has now completely isolated these people from society. Right? They're under his control. Remember, Jim Jones used to do that. Make people work long hours, dole out rations, make them completely dependent on you. No other social contacts. That's how you go full cult. Cult member Yolandi finally has had enough. She bolts, she leaves. And then Liam Mark Fuchsia, he was the first guy to sell all his belongings. He also leaves, which had to have been a fucking tough walk home, right? Walking home to an empty bank account after giving this piece of shit all your money. September of 78, the group completes work on the cabin. Rock claims their ability to build this cabin way out in the woods is a miracle, and he gives the group new biblical names. We'll get this little cabin pic. I don't know if I described those digs miraculous, but I guess, they did get something going out there. That's when he starts going by Moses a little more often now. Up until this point, the group had mostly called him Poppy, which is creepy. And now he does the ultimate cult leader move. I feel like 80% maybe of these guys get to this point where he gets a new vision from God, and hey, we got to get rid of all the marriages. Sorry guys, tough break. Everybody's marriages are over except mine with Giselle. And then another thing, frustrating. God needs me to marry all the other women as well. I don't know why, mysterious ways and all that shit. So he marries all of the other women except for one, Maurice, wife of Jacques. This poor woman, her narrative in this tale is especially sad. She doesn't even want to be there. She was just especially loyal to her husband, Jacques. She never likes this guy. She never likes him the whole story. Doesn't want to be there. He knows that she doesn't like him. She's the one lady who doesn't have to marry him. So Maurice, oh, poor Maurice. Initial wife, Giselle, not thrilled about all of this, about God's new word, about all the other wives. She flees. Rock chases her down, chokes her, and demands that she return. It's not fun for her either. Then, November 18th, 1978, the Jonestown Massacre occurs with this loon. I gotta say, I know, dope glasses. Pretty dope glasses. And he does look a little crazier than this guy. However, if I had to follow one of these two fuckers out into the woods, it's gonna be Beardo Weirdo. This guy looks like he can handle an axe better than this guy. I guess although they both did lead people out in the woods. Now because of the Jonestown Massacre, now just kind of worldwide, but especially in the Western world, people are on high alert for cults. They're worried about people going out and isolating themselves. They don't want another Jonestown, right? They're very worried about that. So the police begin to keep tabs on what's going on with Rock and his compound. To assure authorities he's no Jim Jones, he volunteers for a psychiatric evaluation. And he is so manipulative, he convinces psychiatrists that his group is a religious democracy, everyone's equal, they live in peace in the forests, and the psychiatrists are like, yeah, no, he's great, full clearance, awesome guy. You know, fit to lead, totally fit to lead. He returns to the compound, and he starts drinking now, which is not good for Rock. Waiting for the end of the world starts to stress him out, you know, and he starts getting a little out of control. Sometime in the winter of 78, 79, the group has run out of money, and they're hungry. So he decides to raise money by doing something pretty despicable. He prostitutes 19-year-old Gabrielle, the girl with MS. Yep. Prostitutes her out to a local grocery store owner in exchange for groceries, which infuriates Chicken Joe. Bye-bye, Playboy, bye-bye. People with disabilities for groceries, that's too low with Chicken Joe. Selling honey for money, pussy for baked goods, that don't make you no daisy. Give a head for bread and be a Beardo Weirdo in the woods, that's a whole nother bottle of crazy. Picking the girl with MS when you got like 9 wives, what kind of pimp is you? That like offering your beat up cat that done lost 8 lives when you open a pet zoo. She already suffering, then you add to her lot, making Chicken Joe ashamed to pimp it, you crazy wild-eyed cracker pop. At least get the girl a decent wage for the legs she be splaying, not just milk and eggs, you feel me? You dig? You hear what I'm saying? That's what Joe speak for. He doesn't agree with pimping disabled prostitutes. I feel like this show keeps getting worse for people who have no idea what to expect. Just more and more madness. So let's, okay. Okay, so things are getting weirder here. Things are also getting weirder for the Anthill kids. Around this time, Rock starts giving long, drunken, rambling sermons out in their, cabin. And if anybody falls asleep during these sermons, which can go on for like 4, 5, 6 hours, they get beaten severely with a 4-inch thick club. He also starts punching his followers. He punches Maurice, the lady who doesn't even like him. She's pregnant at the time. Punches her so hard he breaks 2 of her ribs. Beats her again when she eats more than her share of pancakes one morning at breakfast. And for some reason, the pancake detail seemed especially sad to me. Like, that's like the happiest meal, pancakes. Isn't that weird, like how you emotionally react to things? Like, if it was that same horrific statement, but it was like Eggs Benedict, I would have been sad, but not as sad. Like, you just ruined fucking pancakes, you know? So she hates him, obviously. He also starts punishing other followers for disobedience by making them stand naked outside the cabin, regardless of the weather. And then the day comes. February 17th, 1979. This is it. This is the end. And as you know, the world did not end on that day. And then everybody packs up and goes home. Rock gets a job running a poutine stand. And everything kind of works out for everybody. So thanks for coming, you guys. How bad would that suck? If I just that was the fucking end of the show. No, that's not the end. There's it gets way crazier. It gets way crazier, and we'll get into that right after Sorry Again. Another quick word from the sponsor. I apologize for the ads, but these guys, they pay a lot of money. Today's Timesuck is also brought to you by the critically acclaimed album available on both cassette and 8-track, Albert Fish Tortures the Classics.
Well, you know
it's the best when the poop hits your chest. That's how I come. I'll shoot my seed when your eyes starts to bleed. That's how I come. Join in if you know the words. And that's not all, Bearcats and Bimbos. There's also this howdy doody that'll have you jitterbugging your bubs off. Put those peepers on me and hear the timeless ditty. I got someone tied up in the barn. I've got paddles, I've got lots of rope. Fat bottom in the barn, who could ask for anything more? He is tied up, peanut butter. Said now bottom's on fire, who could ask for anything more? And also, anybody who buys these albums gets 20% off of the Bell Gunnis Norwegian massage parlor package. A Norwegian massage is a lot like a Swedish massage, except the masseuse constantly speaks in a thick, unintelligible, comforting, sexy Norwegian accent. Hoofda, hoofda, hangy bungy, feeling the tension in your muscles, who's keeping the pressure on your buttocks, pushing the need and rubbing and the tugging, putting the thingy-dingy in the holsy-wolsy. To get a free 2-hour massage, don't tell anyone you're coming and show up with at least $5,000 cash. And I got a lot of shit for saying that I thought Bill Gunnis was kind of attractive. But, I was talking about a younger Bill Gunnis. I think, yeah, this, you know. No? Still no? Okay, I did find one other photo. No, that's not her. I just did a lot of research into vintage erotica. Okay. Oofda. All right, back to Rock now. How did Rock explain to his followers that the world did not end on the day he had told them it was going to end? This is the reason they came out into the woods. He says that it was all about essentially some calendar time interpretation problems. He says that when he got his vision, he thought the world was going to end based on Earth time, Eastern kind of time zone, time. What he failed to take into account was that God was talking about God time, different calendar. So the world is going to end on February 17th, 1979, God time, and he needs to fucking carry some more ones and do some more equations to figure out when that's going to be. Don't even worry about it. And the rest of his cult is basically like, okay. And they decided to kind of stay out there in the woods. So Rock assures the group that the end times are coming soon. We'll figure it out. He's got to crunch some more numbers. A cult member named Jacques Bachet has enough. Leaves the group on April 1979. And then to make sure this doesn't start a new trend, he acts like, oh, he didn't just want to leave. No, I kicked him out. I saw that he was the devil, and I banished him. Right? Only the good people get to stay. And they're like, okay. I mean, he was talking about how he wanted to go for like a week, but okay. Then another member, Maurice, the poor woman who hates him, he hates her. She tries to talk her husband, Jacques, into leaving. Rock finds out, not happy about it. So he says that Maurice needs to be punished. And he tells Jacques to take an axe and cut off one of her toes as a lesson. When he refuses, Rock explains that if he won't cut off one of her toes, he will take the axe himself and get rid of her entire foot. He knows that that he's not kidding. So then other cult members hold Maurice down, they take an axe and they sever off one of her toes. Yeah, if she didn't like Rock before, now she really fucking hates it. And I'm guessing not a huge fan of her husband either. I feel like you don't get to marital counseling your way past that. I feel like that comes up forever. I'm sick of you asking me to take out the trash. I'm sick of not having a fucking toe! I don't know what just happened. Oh, there we go. Sorry. So anyway, in April, the parents of Shantae, another person out there in this compound, receives a court order to remove their daughter from the compound to undergo a psychiatric evaluation. When the police show up to retrieve this woman, Rock refuses to let them inside. And he thinks he talks them into dropping the whole matter. No, they just go back to get reinforcements. They come back, they raid the compound, they arrest Rock for obstruction of justice, and they order him to take another psychiatric evaluation in a hospital in Quebec City. Not only does he ace his evaluation again, He's so manipulative, he convinces the doctors that he had saved his followers' lives from lives of, depravity and drugs. The head of psychiatry at this hospital publicly scolds the police and the press for attacking a man of God. Right? He's a good dude, leave him alone. So now he goes back out into the woods to lead with even more emboldened, right? Like the authorities are on his side. Shortly after he returns, in the spring of 1979, Gabrielle, the young woman with MS, she dies. An autopsy is conducted. They find no evidence of foul play. I mean, I think he definitely, obviously, contributed to her death by not allowing her to get proper kind of medical, treatments. Now he's oh yeah, this is ridiculous. He gets another follower in November of 79. One of the people he met when he was getting his psychiatric evaluation, he's in the psych ward, he meets this guy, Guy Veer, and he basically tells this guy, hey, when you get out of here, come find us on Eternal Mountain. It'll be great. This poor guy, he'd been undergoing treatment for severe depression. When he gets out, he makes his way out into the woods, finds their compound, and he's taken in as a slave, essentially. He is made to live in the shed. He doesn't even get to live in the regular fucking cabin. He has to chop wood for the group, randomly also put in charge of babysitting for the group. Another sad note, there's kids on this compound for all of this. It's not just adults. There's young kids. Rock has been sleeping with basically all the women except for Maurice, so there's more kids coming all the time, and it's a fucking nightmare. March 23rd, 1980, Rock throws a party at Eternal Mountain. He's super pumped. He's celebrating. His 2 kids from his first marriage are coming to live with him. I have no fucking idea how this was allowed to happen. Rock Jr. is now 12 at this point. Francois is 10. I was able to find a picture of the boys at the time. They would survive and become 2 of the greatest actors of their generation. No, that's Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, of course. No, the same night, but he is celebrating this. Rock decides also this night, he's getting annoyed during his celebratory festivities. He's getting annoyed at Maurice, the woman he can't stand. Maurice's infant son, Samuel, is crying too much. And Rock decides that maybe it'll help him if he gets circumcised. Yep, and he's like, we don't need to call a doctor. I'm a doctor. I can do it. This is bad. This is not gonna lie to you, this is bad. He doesn't understand how to prep somebody for surgery. And he injects rubbing alcohol into Samuel's stomach. He forces rubbing alcohol into the baby, which kills the baby, right? Like, yes, I know, this is fucking brutal. It's gonna get a little redemption later, but... So, now he convinces the group to cremate the baby, destroy the evidence. Then, months, so he doesn't get in trouble. Not only does he not get in trouble, poor Guy Veer gets woven into this nightmare. Months later, in the summer of 1980, there's some dissent in the group. People are still mad about the baby. They're like, why are we following this dude who's done that? Then he remembers, oh yeah, I totally forgot. The night little Samuel died, Guy actually snuck in to the cabin and beat this baby to death. He's the one who did it. And these people are so manipulated and out of their minds are like, okay, I guess. And then he sets up a mock trial. This place has gotten so crazy. There's a coroner, defense attorney, bailiff, prosecutor. He makes little Samuel's dad, Jacques, the judge. Then this part I do find darkly funny. Guy is found not guilty by reason of insanity because this is all fucking crazy. My God. Rock is unhappy with the outcome of the trial. He thinks that at least Guy should be castrated for his crime. A crime this guy definitely didn't commit. He puts up castration for a vote, and Samuel's own parents are the only 2 people who vote against it. It's a majority in favor of castrating this guy. He then convinces Guy Veer to write a letter of consent agreeing to the castration. Convinces him that it would make his headaches go away, it'll get him out of the shed into the main cabin. He also says it'll cure him of his masturbation habit, and that part's fucking legit. I mean, that actually is solid medical advice. If you don't have balls, you will jerk off less, from what I understand. Well, he agrees, he consents, and they put him on the table, tie him down, and they cut his nuts off. Yeah, yep. I did a little risky thing. I was in a Starbucks when I was putting some of these pictures together. And I decided to roll the dice, and I Googled 2 nuts on a table. And luckily that came up. Thank God. So let's go back to Rock here. November 5th, 1980, guy flees the group. That poor guy. He flees the group after getting his nuts cut off. That had to have been an even tougher walk through the woods. Just be like, why did I leave 2 months earlier? But he tells the story of baby Samuel's death. He gets the police to come back to the compound, and they arrest them. A bunch of people at the compound. They arrest Rock, Jacques, Maurice. Later, the three of them, also Gabrielle and Guy Veer, all charged with criminal negligence resulting in bodily harm. Another member, Claude, charged with obstruction of justice. They do take the kids, out of the compound, put them in foster care, so that's good. A lot of charges for the cult members. And then on September 29th, 1982, their trial is over, sentencing's handed down. Jacques, Maurice, Claude, Solange, Veer, all released on the condition they're not to return to the mountain. Rock is sentenced to 2 years in prison in Quebec City. So now the group disbands, but it's not over. His hardcore followers actually rent apartments, the closest apartments to the jail, and wait for the return of their leader. He gets conjugal visits, he impregnates more members. Exactly. Exactly. That is a fair assessment at so many points during this story. I imagine there's a lot of internal, what the fuck? Yes, going on constantly. Local authorities burn Eternal Mountain down to the ground, so it looks like the compound should be over. But then in February of 1984, Rock is released from prison. On April 15th, they head back out to the wilderness in the area of Burnt River in Ontario, about 100 miles northeast of Toronto. Now this is an English-speaking area this time, and Rock is the only member of the group who speaks English. Now he has further isolated them. Now they're way out in the woods, and even if they go to local towns, they don't speak the same language. They're very dependent on him. They acquire a small patch of land, and in May they begin construction. Build a cabin, kitchen, bakery, maple sugar shack, smokehouse, stone sanctuary for worship. They build a sawmill, a horse-drawn water mill. I mean, it's pretty impressive that they do all this out in the woods. Rock now establishes a hierarchy amongst his cult wives. He divides them into a higher tier and a lower tier. The higher tier get more food, less work, less beatings, all that stuff. Maurice, the poor woman who lost her toe and her baby Samuel just met, she's fucking back. She's back here with Jacques. Doesn't like this guy still, and she is the bottom wife in the lower tier. Rock forbids her husband Jacques from sleeping with her, encourages him to beat her, makes her sleep in the shed, convinces other followers that a birthmark she has is the mark of Satan, and she's not to be trusted. It's gonna get weirder and weirder. Money again is a problem. And now the group survives by shoplifting from local businesses. They even make special coats with all these big hidden pockets to do this, all part of God's plan. All makes sense. January 31st, 1985, police catch Jacques shoplifting. Other members get caught soon after. And now they're banned from local stores. So now they can't do that anymore. So now they start selling homemade pastries in a little pop-up stand by the side of the road near the compound and somehow actually make money. Rock incorporates their little business, calls them the Anthill Kids. This is where the name first comes in. Name for the way they work together like a nest of ants. And then Rock starts drinking again real heavy and shit starts getting real crazy. He starts forcing the women into weird nude wrestling matches where the men are referees encouraged to beat them while they wrestle. Rock starts routinely punching and whipping followers for minor infractions. He sometimes hits them with a hammer, occasionally breaking bones. No matter what is... Weird point to clap. Okay. Now, if you're why would they put up with so much abuse? I mean, yes, they're manipulated, but he also did this weird thing. He starts beating them more savagely, and then after beatings, he would break down and cry. Yes. Mm-hmm. And he would break down and cry, and then they would feel sorry for him. He would claim that he doesn't want to hurt them. God is making him hurt them because of their sins. They would write letters of apology for being so terrible that he had to beat them. It's gotten that kind of deep. Everybody's, January 26, 1985. Cult member Gabrielle puts her 5-month-old infant in a wheelbarrow outside in below zero temperatures. Rock didn't like this baby either, said it bore the mark of the devil. The child froze to death. So there's at least 2 babies now. The local coroner writes up that the baby died of SIDS. He gets away with it. Yep. In October of 85, Maurice, the woman who'd already lost her toe and the baby, and now she's made to live out in the shed. This is the woman whose husband had been encouraged by Rock to beat her. She finally has enough. He agrees to let her go. She wants to leave, only if she will leave her oldest daughter behind, who Rock wants for his next wife. She agrees. But she did it. It was sneaky. She agrees just to be able to leave. Immediately goes to authorities, who immediately run back and raid the compound. So it was actually a heroic thing. She alerts social workers to what went on. Right? They come back. They take all the kids. They put them in foster care again. The children, once removed, testify that Rock physically and sexually abused them. Report that he did insane shit like sacrificing animals in front of them, covering himself in their blood. Rock is investigated for these crimes by a team of psychologists sent to the compound by the court. He manipulates them again, convinces them that the kids were lying, and it was just a peaceful compound. They'd been made to lie by their parents. The psychologists buy this bullshit. Luckily, the court does not. Parental rights are taken away from Rock and his followers living on the compound. For some reason, abuse charges, though, are not brought against him. They just don't have quite enough evidence. But now the kids are at least gone. Now the kid's gone, feeling persecuted by authorities, Rock's violence intensifies. He breaks Jacques' ribs with the dull side of an axe blade. He burns several women with a blowtorch. This is going to be rough, including burning them on their genitals. He beats one woman into a miscarriage, shoots her in the shoulder following that as punishment for losing the baby. Yep, fucking crazy, crazy shit. He goes after this guy, Claude, big time. This is unbelievable. Claude really got this guy's zapples going. He slices... This is crazy. This Claude guy, dear God. He slices Claude's arms open with shards of glass just to torture him, pulls out 11 of his teeth with a pair of pliers. Just getting warmed up. Then he has one of his wives go full misery, Kathy Bates, and break his legs with a sledgehammer. Not done. Then he wraps his nuts with a rubber band, like you would do with a bull to castrate it, and it does cause his balls to get infected. Then he cauterizes the wound. The guy loses his balls. He castrates him, cauterizes the wound with an iron. Yep, then he says that they should kill Claude, and then puts it up to a vote, and luckily the cult, maybe luckily, I don't know at this point, decides to let him live. Then it keeps going. Fall of '88, one of the women gets sick. Rock diagnoses her with a kidney ailment. Dr. Terrio prescribes surgery, makes her strip naked, gives her an enema of molasses, oil, and water. Yep, cuts her stomach open and just reaches in with his hand to pull the infection out. He's fucking crazy. He has no idea what he's doing. He's a terrible doctor. Well, of course she dies. She dies from this. Then he gets really sad. He tries to kill himself. He did love her. He's crazy. He really thought he could actually save her. He tries to kill himself. He doesn't because he's a terrible doctor. He doesn't even know how to give himself the right amount of painkillers. The group buries this woman, Solange. Then Rock, this is the craziest thing I've ever talked about on Timesuck. Rock has another vision. He has a vision that Solange is still alive. She's alive, she's just inside of him. Specifically, her soul, her essence is trapped inside his sperm, and he can bring her back. Oh yeah. He decides to resurrect her in the most obscene way. They dig her up. They pull her back up. He drills a hole into her skull. In front of the group, he ejaculates into the hole in her skull. Waits for her to come back, and check this out. What? It fucking worked. She's not 100%, but here's a picture. Now, of course, that's Jenny McCarthy. That's anti-vaxxer Kenny McCarthy. He did do all that. And then here's just a little bit of levity in the middle. So, when I first told this particular story in Madison, Wisconsin, I mean, I know it's a pretty dark Timesuck, but I assumed that everybody was either with people who knew about the show or listened to the show. And after the show, during the meet and greet, this couple comes up to me. They said that this poor, just very kind of, happy-go-lucky kind of concern. This couple had just wandered in at random. They were just in town for the weekend. They thought, yeah, I'll check out a show. And they sat down and heard everything that you have just heard. And when we got to this point, it looked like it looked like they were like, it was like Sodom and Gomorrah was what they were witnessing. Like they were horrified. I can only imagine. I cannot, oh my God. I would be horrified if I was like, what the fuck? So anyway, Rock really did do all this. Of course it doesn't work. There's no pictures of the actual woman who died. Oh, this is Jenna McCarthy. Okay, I don't want to throw you under the bus, but he just asked. He goes, "So that was fake?" Yeah, she didn't come back alive. But all that did happen. Okay, so now it's the winter of '88-'89. Member Josie runs away from the compound. By the summer of 1989, the Anthill kids in their final days, thank God. July 25th, '89, Rock decides he needs to operate on another follower. Gabrielle. Her finger had been aching, probably because he beat her or something. And he decides to put a knife through her other hand on the kitchen table to hold her down, and then just like starts mangling her other arm. He's completely out of his mind. So he cuts her up pretty bad. She runs away after this, somehow lives. She's bleeding pretty bad. She makes it to a woman's shelter, but she won't give him up. She will not tell on him. She actually comes back to the compound again. And he cuts off one of her arms. The arm he finishes it with the meat cleaver, like unreal. She escapes again. She lives and escapes again, makes it to a hospital, and tries to tell them that it was a car accident. And they're like, fucking no. They get the confession out of her, finally. And now they raid the compound for real. Now they're gonna shut it down. Rock has escaped, everybody has fled. The cult is over now. October 6, 1989, police finally catch this guy, Rock Theriot. By this time, other members who they had found, told the police where he was. After all this, Rock gets sentenced, after everything he did, to only 12 years in prison. He gets a plea deal for second-degree murder, no other charges, and then, before he even starts to serve, the judge reduces his sentence, to 10 years, because he'd shown genuine remorse. And that makes me sick. After you do all that, no, you do not get to. That's so infuriating. He's charged with second-degree murder. Plea deal, sentenced January 18th, 1993. He was due for release in 2014, and he would have been released. 3 of his wives from the compound continued to live near him and wait for his return. They're still in. And then here's a little bit of redemption in this story. February 26, 2011, age 63. 3 years before being eligible to be released, Rock is stabbed to death by cellmate Matthew Gerard McDonald. This guy. This hero inside of prison, he said, he got sick of hearing all the disgusting things this guy would talk about, knowing what he was going to do when he got out. He stabbed this guy, and then immediately afterward, didn't try to hide it, he walked up to a pair of guards, calmly handed them the bloody weapon and said, "That piece of shit is down on the range. Here's the knife. I sliced him up." I could not find a picture of that guy, but when I Googled that guy, when I Googled Gerald McDonald, Matthew Gerald McDonald, I am not kidding, this picture came up and it felt fitting. And that takes us out of the Timesuck timeline. Whoa!
Good job, soldier. You made it back.
Another insane cult story. It's always the same story with these guys, right? They just kind of pull you slowly and surely deeper and deeper into their madness. That's why I think it's very important, if you're ever like with a group or whatever, religious group, I get it. But at any point, if someone's like, "Hey, I got some new news from God," get out right now. It never leads to good things beyond that point, So anyway, okay, but that's what I think. That's what I think about cults. It's never a good thing to get in on any level. That's my perspective. Let's check in with another perspective with today's idiots of the internet. And we'll do that right after our final sponsor. Again, I apologize. Timesuck today is brought to you by Chikatilo's Wrestling Academy. What is big deal? I like wrestle. I like jerk soft chick cock. A lot of good people here in Denver. A lot of good wrestlers. This summer I have wrestling camp. It'll be summer of 2020. I have special guest wrestler, great American heavyweight Ed Kemper, going to be wrestled. If you harness your Zabel powers, you can defeat Mother. So do not delay. Sign up today for wrestling. You also get a free copy of Pootie and Juju. In issue 678, Pootie joined Antil Kids and be resurrected by Juju Love Juice. Put it in your forehead, Shirley. But wait. But wait, there's still more. Ghost Puppet Woody, read Camp Children's Bedtime Tale.
There's a lot of rapey ghosts around, so sleep with one eye open and your brown ass outside. Whee!
And now time for anything. Okay, so I found there was a video. There was just a documentary on the Anthill Kids, just like a little snippet of it. Most of them are in French, so it's hard to find a lot of good stuff online about these guys in English. But under this video, I found Rose White makes an odd observation. I thought posting that huge beard and the sex should have surely been an indicator that the guy was one of Satan's false prophets. I mean, I get like the different wives, but the beard detail is a weird one to add there. John Wiseman replies to Rose with an awesome one-word answer, just writing, nope. Yeah, what do beards have to do with cults, you know? Hail Nimrod. Piper Spirit makes what at first I thought was a nonsense observation, writing, he's like a really shit version of Santa Claus. Does anybody know why they would make a Santa Claus reference with Rock Terrio? Okay, I feel a little better.
Kidnap children?
Because he kidnapped children. Is that what Santa does? What have you been taught about Santa? Ask my dad. It's getting weirder and weirder. I picture you using it as like a behavior tool. Well, you better be good, because you know Santa's going to be here. And the good kids get presents, and the bad kids get kidnapped and taken to the North Pole. That's what the elves are. Bad kids forced to work in Santa's workshop. Krampus, yeah, you get to go with Krampus. No, but I had no idea what that meant. I thought it was just nonsense. It was because he was a chimney inspector. And I learned that again in Madison. I was like, this is fucking stupid. What, Santa? And a guy in the back just goes, chimney inspector! And I was like, okay, you're smart. All right, so let's get back to rock here. And then there's not a ton of comments under, again, because this Anthill Kid video, because it's not in English, or not in, the ones in English don't have a lot of views. But I did find one more good one, I think. One that opened up a thread of a bunch more comments, kicked off by user Robert Katze, who couldn't help but throw some politics into the thread. I'm amazed how often this happens on non-political videos. You know, U.S. politics comes up about 90% of the time. Robert posts, in the United States, we now have a cult leader. His name is Donald Trump. Evangelical Christians, Mormons, and other people of faith flock to him and cheer Donald on in the same way as Putin or Kim Jong-un and demand of their countrymen and women. And shit is fucking on in the thread. I'm like, here we go! Here we go! You know, like... Raif Kimler takes the bait, posting, and Obama was less of a cult figure. Bob Canstay comes right back with, no, President Obama wasn't a cult figure. All you idiots who love Trump deserve to be ripped off by his scams like Trump University. Everyone who trusts Trump ends up getting cheated by Trump. So ta-ta, you Trump-loving moron. Who the fuck throws ta-ta into a handful of hands? I want to do that in the middle of a heated argument. Hey, you kiss my fucking ass. I'll never come back here. Hey, one more thing. Ta-ta, my friend. Did he just ta-ta me? Raif retaliates saying, Colonel West was correct when he called Obama the black mascot of Wall Street. All politicians are whores. You're just as blind as Trumpster. Then Robert comes back with, so let me get this straight. You prefer Trump being a doorman for Putin and his Russian mafia buddies to come in and plunder the country by internet hacking and money laundering. Move to Russia, praise and worship Putin there. And it goes back and forth. About 30 more comments, but then was like a miracle. Like, you go all the way down to the end. Finally, Robert posts, "Sorry, dude, I'm not mad at you." I don't think Trump's a cult leader. I just get frustrated sometimes, and I just wish we had. I just wish we had a president of any party that really seemed to follow through with promises and take care of the working man. And then Rife comes back with, dude, I get it. I mean, Obama didn't fix the cost of higher education. He helped the banks instead of the taxpayer with the housing crisis in 2000. I just want what you want, just a better life for me and my family, and entertain the possibility of owning a home and sending my kids to college, and retiring. So now I apologize too. And then a few comments further down, they fall in love, and then if you just a few more comments, they get married. A little further down, they adopt some kids, and now they fucking continue to hate each other. But we can dream. We can dream that would happen one time in the idiots of the internet. So the Anthill Kids cult, man, another doomsday cult. Are those ever gonna go away? Like, they've been wrong every single time. Isn't it a weird thing? Like, as history goes further, I would think it would be a tougher and tougher sell. Because there's more of a history of it literally never, ever working out. Like, it never works out.
But this time...
I know. It's like a weird infomercial. It's like, I know you've been cheated by many people over the time of history. But this Friday, 30% off Armageddon. And there's no like. So the main message is from this, Timesuck, I think, is, man, don't join an apocalyptic cult. Don't move out into the woods with anybody telling you that's where the end of the world is going to happen. And let's look back at what we've learned and learn one thing new in today's top 5 takeaways. Number 1, the Anthill Kids started in 1977 when a group of Seventh-day Adventists followed a man named Rock Terrio out into the wilderness to await the end of the world. The cult ended when Rock killed a member in '89 by operating on her, which you shouldn't do if you're insane and only have a 7th grade education. Number 2, Rock Terrio told his followers that God had told him that the world would end on February 17th, 1979. It did not, and they still followed him. And he told him it was just a time misunderstanding. He forgot that God was operating on God time. He'll work harder next time. Number 3, Rock was so manipulative, had such a powerful hold over his followers that one woman came back to the compound on her own after he cut up her arm, then cut her arm off. 3 ladies continued to visit him after he was thrown in prison at the end for murder. Number 4, Rock did maybe the craziest thing I've ever read about. Right? Crazier than Ed Kemper doing what he did with his mom's windpipe. Crazier than Dahmer making sex slaves, or trying to. He actually tried to bring someone back to life by jerking off into a hole in their head. And because I'm so just demented and warped in my head, I did have a thought of like, what if it had worked? How much would that have changed our reality? If our world continues to be exactly like it is now, but if you really want to bring somebody back, you can. You just gotta go an extra mile. You just gotta. How much would that change funerals? We're like, oh, we're so sad that Grandma's gone, but she doesn't have to be. Who's gonna do it? I brought Aunt Betsy back. Who's taking the bullet this time? That's where he messed up. He didn't go in.
Could a lady do it?
Could a lady do it? Well, it does seem a little sexist that only a guy can jerk off. I think that lady should at least try to DJ a guy, someone back to life. Just DJ really close to the hole, see what happens. I love that just made you go, whoop. You could try. Number 5, and I don't know, I have the weirdest stuff in my head all the time. When I said like DJ and track, then the Calliope started playing inside my brain. Okay, number 5, new info. 22 of Rock's kids did survive. They ended up with either other family or in foster care. These kids would be around my age or a little younger today. What happened to them? Well, most obviously have chosen not to disclose who their dad was, or they don't know. But some fans of one super famous French Canadian who was adopted did some 23andMe genetic sleuthing and did find out that Justin Rock Theriault. So that's all for today's.
Timesuck. Top 5 takeaways.
Did anyone at all believe just for one half a second that Justin Bieber was the son of Rock Theriault?
Yes!
Yes? Worth it. Okay, worth it then.
Worth it.
Worth it. What now? Oh, you want to listen to the Calliope? No. I have it tied to a sound file. I don't know if I can. You know what? I actually kind of wanted to though. But okay, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. No, this is the only time in history that chant has ever started. I don't even know. I don't know. I have the old. This is not the normal, but I had to. Come on. I know I downloaded it. Recently added. Haha! Here we go. I can't have it be that loud though, because it's. There we go. Now, after all that nonsense, let's kind of have a little palate cleanser. This is Penny and Gigi. I don't know if it's like animal abuse, but we've trained them to get used to being held like babies. I don't think they like it, but it makes us happy, so we make them do it. Penny always has a look just like, please, someone kill me. We have a cool thing after the show here, if you want. We have a little limited edition poster where all the proceeds go to charity. It is designed by a timesucker named Max Lazarou. He's out in Belarus. And he said the Timesuck kind of reignited his creativity. He got started doing more creative things, so he wanted to give this to the group. We're selling it for $10 after the show. A little over $8, after the cost of the poster, goes to the Dreaming Zebra Foundation. It's a 501 charity supporting children and young adults who want to explore the arts but don't have the funds to do so themselves. It buys art supplies for kids and young adults, and it's given to schools in every state in the country so far, and also 7 additional countries. You can Google them to learn more. And also we will have a shirt that I'm wearing right now. I survived the Anthill Kids. Timesuck. And next year for the live show, it is not going to be this dark because I don't want to go further than this one. This is we'll find something more on the weird wackadoodle spectrum than the. Let's do a little Q&A here, but I want to bring Lindsay out. So let's get Queen to Suck out.
Hello.
So yeah, thank you guys for coming tonight. Yeah, and what's your question?
Can you turn that off? Sorry.
I've been with you from the beginning, and last week the Humphrey Bogart thing.
Oh yeah.
And
When Humphrey.
You got me. You got me. I was like, holy shit.
That one.
You're like, oh my word! If you believe this, you're an idiot. I'm like, oh,
No, but I would believe it too.
You got me so hard. I'm like, oh, our government really is this evil. Really doing this, and you're like, oh, you're believing this.
I can never watch Casablanca again.
You got me.
The one lie I feel really bad about is Pat Sajak. I wish I would have done that. He's a great human being. He's a great human being. Yes.
All right, so I have a card for Lindsay.
Hi, Stefan. Hi, sweetie.
Sorry, everybody. It's for your birthday. He's got a way better I'd like everybody to sing happy birthday to Lindsay.
Oh yeah, her birthday is tomorrow. Her birthday is tomorrow.
Can we do that?
Should we do it?
Can we do that?
Yeah, let's get a little music. Should we sing?
Can we?
Yeah, let's do it. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lindsay. Happy birthday to you. Thank you. And
Very
thanks for
sweet.
listening to Scared to Death with Lindsay and I sometimes too. I appreciate it. I think you have some definite Scared to Death fans here, so that's awesome.
It's because we're all not sleeping together.
It is pretty weird. I will say it is weird where I'm pretty skeptical. I get like weirded out at moments, but like more and more things. Joe, our Reverend
Oh my
Dr.
God.
Joe, our son had a weird thing.
Horsecock.
Horsecock Johnson.
Horsecock Johnson.
Formerly known as Micropeen. Him and his daughter Pepper, she's 9, I think.
No, you think she's 9. She's like 7.
I know she's crazy tall.
She's so fucking tall. She's like 5 feet tall.
Joe's like 4'6", I think.
And then his hot wife is like 6 feet tall.
I know she.
I
Yeah.
have such a crush on
She
Joe's
wants.
wife. Yeah.
She's far more attracted to Joe's wife than me.
Anyways.
Anyway, but Joe said that him and his daughter went home and they both. He said it was so weird where they walk in. Joe thinks he hears the sound of someone saying hello near the kitchen stove, and he's like, whatever, that's weird. And then his daughter Pepper goes, "Who just said hello?" Yeah, and then they walk over and it's freezing cold by that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big time.
Yep. Then talks to somebody who, Zach actually, the script keeper, his wife is, she's real into like Wiccan type stuff, and Monique, and so she said, do you know somebody named Max? She's talking to Joe about it. And she's like,
Better than that,
Okay.
Joe calls him and Monique goes,
I know.
I've been waiting for you to call. And he's like, what? Yeah, get the fuck out of there. Get the fuck out.
No, but then it turns out
He's not getting out.
It turns out his wife Erin had she's a nurse and she deals sadly with a lot of patients that die and had a patient recently, Maxine, went
Yeah.
by Max, didn't like anybody else other than Erin die in her care, and then
Came back to thank Aaron,
they
basically.
think like that's what so that weird
anyways.
unexplainable stuff has been happening more often since we
Anyways.
started doing that.
Let's get some questions.
Yeah.
Who's got a question? No more fucking calliope. That's my new nightmare. Could you imagine I'm sleeping and then you just pipe it into the house?
I wish I could have a remote control speaker built into the wall that you couldn't find.
Oh
But I
my
could just
God.
play Calliope sometimes. But anybody else have a question about Timesuck or anything else? And thanks for coming here, by the way, too.
Oh, I see some hands.
Yeah.
Did you give the book to anyone yet?
Not yet. So the deal with the book is that you have to come and get it. So people have said, oh, I'll take it, just mail it to me. I'm like, I don't fucking trust you. Come get it, and then I want you to open it far away from me.
I know.
Far away.
I think I don't believe in that stuff, but I also don't want anybody opening that thing around me.
Right. You believe. You believe.
I probably don't. I don't
Do you want it?
No.
Oh, okay. If you come to the studio and get it, you can have it, Stefan. I know.
Any other questions? And we'll be out there, by the way, afterwards.
I see a hand.
Yeah.
No.
So, Dan, what's your favorite episode you've covered?
Ooh, I know the answer.
Oh yeah,
I won't tell.
it's actually probably one of the. I like all of them for different reasons, but it's probably one of the least popular ones, and it was just the artificial intelligence. Just like I love the futuristic stuff.
Do you think you can make me come separate?
Maybe.
As always, when I play that, no, I don't. No, I can't. One time, yes.
How has studying and learning all of this changed your stand-up? Like, has it changed?
Oh yeah.
It's gonna change it a lot. I just recorded a new special, and I can tell that and that was some things I'd thought about before really getting into all this stuff. But it does make me, well, you guys, I guess in general, just because of a lot of the letters people write in, and all the words where it means a lot to a lot of you, it makes me feel. I feel torn because I've always had a dark sense of humor and kind of absurd, but I feel more responsible for what I say. And so, than I did before. So with the new stand-up, I want it to be a little bit, I'm going to work hard to make it as funny or hopefully funnier than the other stuff, but have some, I don't know, just some meaning, and just make sure that I'm not punching down. And I just realized like how important just education is, or just, whether formal or informal, just to making the world a better place. So yeah.
Good job.
Thanks.
I see one over here. Yeah, you, yes. I know, it's so hard we can't see.
Dan, do you think that your house is haunted?
Do I think that my house is haunted?
Yeah.
No.
I know Lindsay says so.
Lindsay does. I don't think so. I don't feel it.
It's because he's dead inside. He can't feel it. I feel it. Do you know that this club is haunted?
But you know what? But I will say this. I say no.
Fair,
I don't believe
fair.
it. But there's one part of the basement that I don't go by myself down to at night. So I'm not that brave. So maybe part of it does.
And he leaves me there all alone. Over here, right? Yeah.
How far in advance do you start your research on a topic?
It varies a lot. I mean, sometimes it's different now actually, because the process is different where now, it used to be initially just me, and that's when the episodes were a lot shorter, kind of less going on, and then we had some kind of like students from around, like really, really good students, do a little bit of preliminary research on a topic we decided, talk about it, and then I would take it further, add to it. Now Zach does a lot of the preliminary stuff, and then I have to follow. It has to always make sense to me, and so sometimes I spend probably way more time than I should, and I'll get 2 or 3 hours of sleep. Because if it doesn't make sense to me, then I can't communicate it to other people. So I don't know, but at least a couple days. At least a couple days out. Ideally, I like it to be a week or 2 more, but it has to be a new one every week, so I can't spend too much time on it.
There's a lot of me
Yeah,
telling
this guy
him
has
he's
his
bad
hand
at
up for a
poor
while.
time management. I'm like, dude, come on.
Do you ever get through a suck and like, oh shit, it's not long enough?
Oh, it's not long enough?
Like, you ever get to one where you go all this study and you're like, I can't make this go.
No. There's always enough information. No, I've never had to quit one because it's too short. Believe it or not, after today's, what you heard today, there was one where we did a lot of the initial research and then I just canned it because it was just too sad.
Oh, yeah.
One of the saddest ones to me so far was, for whatever reason, the toy box killer, even though other people we had talked about that more.
My favorite!
Careful.
That motherfucker!
But there was one,
Best one ever!
but there's one like today, at least, and this sounds weird to say, but at least he got some kind of, revenge at the end, where it's like, okay, there was something. Sylvia Likens was the one where it's just so sad, and there's nothing, and there's no justice on any level. And it's just this girl who gets abused, dies. The person who abuses her goes to jail for a little while, gets out, lives a long life. And I'm just like, nope.
Yep, fuck you.
Crumple that one, bucket, throw in the garbage.
Yeah. I see a hand with like a white shirt. Yes, you.
Are you all ever going to like travel to any of the places on Scared to Death and like experience anything?
God, I hope so.
That's what Lindsay wants to. Yeah.
I want to, but also I don't want to.
We're trying to get like time management, trying to get more efficient so I can not be in a computer all the time and do stuff like that.
Yeah, the goal would
so
definitely
hopefully-
be to, go and take it out on the road and do this in a very haunted place.
Yeah.
So we can all die together. Yeah, right here.
So, how do you feel about your TED Talk, Dan?
Oh yeah, the TED Talk. I mean, that was really hard for me to do because your instinct is to be funny as a comic when you be a comic, and so they kind of like drilled into my head. They're like, you don't have to go for laughs. You can just like try to get a message, and then I wanted to memorize it, and so that was the most nervous I've ever been on stage, maybe ever, was doing that. Oh, that's nice.
That's so nice.
I tried to get in. It's weird for me to watch it because I'm like, this isn't funny, but then I'm like, oh yeah, it's not supposed to be funny. But I'm glad I tried to get a message out there that it's like why I like to sneak in other kind of episodes in Timesuck that are not as dark, because there is this fascination with darkness, which I am morbidly curious as well. But when that's all you want to see, that bums me out. And I hope that there can be more things that we can look at, and I wish the media would kind of push that less. That if it bleeds, it leads, and give us more kind of positive news. Yeah.
Right here.
Dan, I want to know how long you felt bad after that Suicide Forest suck, thinking there were somebody thought there were necromancers bringing back the souls of people to do movies.
Oh, like for the misdirect there? I don't feel too bad about the misdirects.
Welcome to my life.
Yeah.
I just want to know what's your favorite character that you always go back into, like.
Oh, like out of the silly characters? I mean, your mother, I do, because of the old-timey talk, I kind of like Albert Fish with the showbiz talk. Just because of all the, I'll look up these old 1920s kind of slang dictionaries, and I'm just like, that's fucking hilarious that these are the terms. A very stylized way of kind of talking. I think it's pretty cool.
Couple more?
Yeah, a couple more, and then we'll be out there to say hi to everybody. Yeah.
So, do you guys have any plans to do something with Tom and Dan anytime soon?
Oh, with BDM here, yeah, with Tom and Dan. I mean, probably back when we go down in like a Timesuck. We did an Anthill Kids live with Tom and Dan down in Orlando. But I would like to do stuff. There's a podcast called A Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan that really mentored me getting into this, and they're
Right,
really,
Timesuck
really cool
doesn't
guys.
exist without Tom and Dan.
No, they're the most
Yeah.
supportive. A lot of times other podcasters are kind of jealous or whatever. They don't want to share information. Those guys are an open book, and they just have a philosophy of like, no, we want everyone to succeed.
Yep.
And they're just really cool dudes. Yeah,
Love
and then, yeah, right here.
First, I just wanted to say thank you for everything that you both do, for everything.
Oh, that's nice.
That's so nice.
Subjects that you cover, but more importantly for me at least, it's really cool to see not only the fact that you embrace people calling you out for mispronunciation or whatever, but it means a lot to me being able to see someone like you say, okay, well, somebody called me out because I had a bad view on religion, and now I'm more open-minded. So as a listener, that means a huge amount to us.
Oh, that's
so,
nice.
Out of curiosity,
Yeah, I think we all need that. I think we all need to not be in too much of an echo chamber and hear opposing viewpoints, because it's like it is. We all should be kind of focused on trying to evolve and stuff. Like, we're all very fallible. Yeah. What was sorry?
Wait, he was
Out of curiosity, out of all of the feedback that you've gotten over all of these episodes that you've done, what has been the most impactful that you've received?
Ooh. That's a good question.
Most impactful feedback. Well, I know. I
I
ignored it
have
for a while, but Lindsay used to kind of complain a lot that my dick was too big. And, no, that's never been a complaint. No, I think it was the one you brought up. Actually, it was the one about religion, where it's tough for me because I see cults. And then I can get real extremist in my head and just be like, well, then no one should believe any of this kind of stuff. But that's not true. It's like if somebody has a faith that makes them a better person, and that's what they lean on. And it's like I can't disprove. I don't know. I've never been dead. I don't know what's out there. And I've worked on being a lot more tolerant to people of a variety of faiths. I think is I think that's probably the one that's been the most important for me.
Remember, if you do die, 3 months minimum before you come back.
I gotta talk to you about some shit.
That's right. And after the Mormonism one, I do want, if there's any Mormon, please baptize me after I'm dead. I want to cover as many bases as I can. You never know. Yeah, one more.
What are your favorite hobbies outside of Timesuck and comedy?
We don't have a life.
That's what I'm working on. Is getting back to that, because I don't really do much. I hang out with the family, like board games and stuff, but I don't really see friends or watch like much shows just because it's been worth it. It's been worth it for me to get this up and going. It's like focus on this. But eventually, what I would like to do is it sounds so boring, but just fishing and play the guitar more. And do some stuff with this lady.
High five. Up top. I'll take it.
Did you want to do one more?
Did I want to do one
you want
more?
one more question?
Oh, that question was for both of us if you were listening. So I want to spend our time going to couples therapy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I want to read some books. I want to watch all these TV shows. People are like, oh, did you see this? Did you see that? It's like you never want to get laid again.
Wouldn't that be great? Wrap it up music?
Well, my brain is so fucked up that I'm like, that would be hilarious after a one-night stand if he just like hit the button, was like, and off you go. That's your walk of shame music? Yeah. It's okay. It's okay, yeah. And I just want to read books, see my husband.
What kind of books?
Oh, man. Okay. You know, I've never gotten into erotica in that regard, in book form.
You want to do more volunteer work, you said.
Yeah,
too.
and then I really want to take on some more humanitarian
doing more of that
causes.
before.
Before I was full-time at Timesuck, I was pretty actively involved with a charity, 501(c) in Idaho that does a lot of like rape advocacy, child abuse advocacy. That's a really amazing organization. And what's fucked up is
Safe Passage.
Yeah, Safe Passage. Idaho has a really high abuse rate, so it was really shocking to me. So that's something that I've personally been through and just really matters to me. So I want to do those kinds of things.
Hey, well, thank you guys so much for being so cool and supporting us and letting us do charity stuff. And, hey, Nimrod, we'll see you guys